ಚಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಏರದು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. opening chanting page 2 Hindi book. Yo so bhagava arham samma sambuddho swakhato yena bhagavata dhammo supatipanno yasya bhagavato savak sangho tamayam bhagavanta sadhammam sasangam ime sakari iyata arhan aropite abhipujayama sadhuno bante bhagava suchira parinibbutopi pachima janatanukampamanasa ime sakare dugat pranaka prabhuti patiganatu amhakam dirghratham hitaya sukhaya arham sama sambuddho bhagava buddham bhagavantam abhimadi swakhato bhagavata dhammo dhammam nasami supatipanno bhagavato savak sangho sangham Andmayam buddhasya pubhabhag buddhasya bhagavato pubhabhag namkaram karomasi namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa handmayam buddhabhitutim karomasi yo so tathagato arham samma sambuddho vidyacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purusadhamma sarathi sattva deva manussana buddho bhagavati yo imam lokam sadevakam samarakam sabrahmaka sasamana brahmanim paja sadeva manusyam sayyam abhiya sachikatva pavidesi yo dhammam desesi adikalyanam machikalyanam pariyosa kalyanam satham savyanjanam kevalam paripunnam parisuddham brahmacharyam pakasesi tamaham bhagavantam abhipujyami tamaham bhagavantam sirsa namami handmayam dhammabhitutim karomasi yo so swakhato bhagavata dhammo sanditthiko akaliko epasiko opanaiko pachattam tabbo vinyuhiti tamaham dhammam abhipujyami tamaham dhammam sirsa namami हन्दमयं संगावितुथिं करोमसे योऽसो सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरुषयुगा अट्ठपुरुष पुद्गला एष भगवतो सावक संगो आहुनेयो पाहुने दक्षिणेयो अंजलिकरणेयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यक्षेत्रं लोकसाति तमहं संगम अभिपूज्य तमहं संगम शिरसा नमामि। हन्दमयं रतनतय प्रणाम गाथा यो चेव संवेग परिकीर्तन पाठन च भणामसि बुद्धो सुशुद्धो करुणामहर्णवो यो चन्त शुद्ध वर ज्ञान लोचनो वन्दामि बुद्धम् आदरेण तं धम्मोपदीपो वियतस्य सत्त्वनो यो मग्गपाकामतभेदभिन्नको लोकुत्तरो यो च तदत्थ दीपनो वन्दामि धम्मम् आदरेण तं संगो सुखेताभ्यतिखेत संनितो यो दिट्ठ संतो सुगतानुबोधको लोलपहीनो हरियो सुमेधसो वन्दामि संगम् आदरेण तं पुण्यं मया यं मम समुपद्रवा माहौति ते तस्य स्वभावसिद्धया इद तथागतो लोके उपन्नो अर्हं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो धम्मो च देशितो नियानिको उपशमिको परिनिब्बानिको सम्बोधगामी सुगतपवेदितो मयं तं धम्मं श्रुत्वा एवं जानाम जातिपि दुःखा जरापि दुःखा मरणमपि दुःखं शोकपरिदेव दुःखो मनसुपायासापि दुःखः अप्येहि संपयोगो दुःखो पियेहि विपयोगो दुःखो यमपीच्छं न लभते तमपि दुःखं संकीर्तेन पंच उपादान खंदा दुःखा रूप उपादान खंदो वेदना उपादान खंदो संज्ञा उपादान खंदो संघार उपादान खंदो विज्ञान उपादान खंदो ये संपरिन्याय धर्मानो सुभगवा एवं बहुलम सावके मिलेति एवं भागा च पनस्य भगवतो सावकेषु अनुशासने मूला प्रवर्तते रूपम अनित्यं वेदना अनित्या संज्ञा अनित्या संघारा अनित्या विज्ञानम अनित्यं रूपम अनत्ता वेदना अनत्ता संज्ञा अनत्ता संखारा अनत्ता विज्ञानम अनत्ता सब्बे संखारा अनित्या सब्बे धम्मा अनत्ताति ते मयम् होति नाम जातिया जरा मरणेन शोके हि परिदेवे हि दोमनस्ये उपायासे हि दुःखोतिना दुःख परिता अप्येव नाम इमस्य केवलस्य दुःख खंदस्य अंतकिर्याय संवत्पयायेताति चिरपरिनिब्बुतमपीतं भगवन्तं शरणं गता धम्मं च संघं च तस्य भगवतो शासनं यथा सति यथा बलं मनसि करोमा अनुपटिपजामा सासानुपटिपति इमस्य केवलस्य दुःखकन्दस्य अंतक्रियाय संवदतु।
रतन सूत्र का पाठ करेंगे।
खुला हुआ बंद करना है कुछ।
Connected to OnePlus 3G.
නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස යානිධ භූතානි සමාගතානි භුම්මානි වායා නිවේ අන්තලික්ඛේ සබ්බේව භූතා සුමනා භවන්තු අතෝපි සක්කච්ච සුනන්තු භාසිතං තස්මාහි භූතානි සාමේත සබ්බේ මෙත්තං කරෝත මානුසියා පජාය දිවාච රත්තෝ චරන්ති ඒ බලෙන් තස්මාහිනේ රක්ඛත අප්පමත්තා යං කිංචි තං ඉදවා හොරං වා සග්ගේ සුවායං රතනං පනීතං නනෝ සමං අත්ති තථාගතේන ඉදම්පි බුද්ධේ රතනං පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු khයං විරාගං අමෙතං පනීතං යදජ්ජ ගාසක්්‍ය මුනි සමාහිතෝ නතේන ධම්මේන සමත්ති කිංචි ඉදම්පි ධම්මේ රතනං පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු යං බුද්ධ සෙට්ඨෝ පරිවන්නයි සුචින් සමාධිමානං තයිකඤ්ඤ මාහෝ සමාධිනාතේන සමෝන විජ්ජති ඉදම්පි ධම්මේ රතනං පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු යේ පුග්ගලාඨ සතම්ප සත්තා චත්තාරියේතානි යුගානි හොන්ති තේ දක්ඛිනේයා සුගතස්ස සාවකා ඒතේසු දින්නානි මහප්පලානි ඉදම්පි සංඝේ රතනං පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු යේසුප්පයුත්තා මනසා දල්හේන නික්කාමිනෝ ගෝතම සාසනම්හි තේ පත්තිපත්තා අමතං විඝයිහ ලද්දා මුධා නිබ්බුතින් භුඤ්ජමා ඉදම්පි සංඝේ රතනං පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු යතින්ද කීලෝ පඨවින් සිතෝසියා චතුබ්බි වාතේභි අසම්පකම්පියෝ තතෝපමං සප්පුරිසං වදාමි යෝ අරිය සච්චානි අවෙච්ච පස්සති ඉදම්පි සංඝේ රතනං පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු යේ අරිය සච්ඡානි විභාවයන්ති ගම්භීර පඤ්ඤේන සුදේසිතානි කිංචාපිතේ හොන්ති බුසප්ප මත්තා නතේ භවං අට්ඨ මං ආදියන්ති ඉදම්පි සංඝේ රතනං පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු සහවස්ස දස්සන සම්පදාය තයස්සු ධම්මා ජහිතා භවಂತಿ සක්කාය දිට්ඨි විචිකිච්ඡිතං ච සීලබ්බතං වා පියදස්සි කිංචි චතෝ අපායේ හිච විප්පමුත්තෝ චචාභිඨානානි අබබ්බෝකාතුං ඉදම්පි සංඝේ රතනං පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු කිංචාපිසෝ කම්මං කරෝති පාපකං කායේන වාචා උදචේතසාවා අභබ්බෝ සෝතස්ස පටිච්චාදාය අභබ්බතා දිට්ඨ පදස්ස උත්තා ඉදම්පි සංඝේ රතනං පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු වනප්ප ගුම්බේ යතා පුස්සිතග්ගේ ගිම්හාන මාසේ පඨමස්මින් ගිම්හි තතූපමං ධම්ම වරං අදේසයි නිබ්බාන ගාමින් පරමං හිතාය ඉදම්පි බුද්ධේ රතනං පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු වරෝරඤ්ඤෝ වරදෝ වරහරෝ අනුත්තරෝ ධම්ම වරං අදේසයි ඉදම්පි බුද්ධේ රතනං පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු කීනං පුරාණං නවං නත්ති සම්භවං විරත්ත චිත්තා ආයති කේ භවස්මින් තේ කීන බීජා අවිරුල්ලිච්ඡන්දා නිබ්බන්ති ධීරා යතා යම්පදීපෝ ඉදම්පි සංඝේ රතනං පනීතං ඒතේන සච්චේන සුවත්ති හෝතු යානිධ භූතානි සමාගතානි බුම්මානි වායා නිවේ අන්තලික්ඛේ තථාගතං දේව මනුස්ස පූජිතං බුද්ධං නමස්සාම සුවත්ති හෝතු යානිධ භූතානි සමාගතානි බුම්මානි වායා නිවේ අන්තලික්ඛේ තථාගතං දේව මනුස්ස පූජිතං ධම්මං නමස්සාම සුවත්ති හෝතු යානිධ භූතානි සමාගතානි ආනිවායා නිවේ අන්තලික්ඛේ තථාගතං දේව මනුස්ස පූජිතං සංඝං නමස්සාම සුවත්ති හෝතු ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන දුක්ඛා උපසමින්තුතේ ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන භයා උපසමින්තුතේ ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන රෝගා උපසමින්තුතේ
meditate for 45 minutes and listen to a short reflection. Ajan Hamaro. Vipassana is not just a meditation technique. That's the title.
We begin the day with gathering together, paying our respects to the Triple Gem, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. But the Buddha pointed out that the highest kind of praise and reverence was not just to recite the virtues or to make offerings of flowers and gifts and so forth. The highest kind of reverence was embodied in carrying out the teacher's instruction. To actually practice the Dhamma is the most beautiful and complete way of showing our respect, our gratitude towards the teacher. To embody the Triple Gem is the best way of paying respect to the Triple Gem. So we recite the verses of respect and reverence, homage, but also we recollect the essential teachings. Going through the Buddha's analysis of the nature of body and mind, how to see it clearly, how to understand it as it is, how to examine our experience, to see how our mind fabricates its experience of the world, how to see that clearly, how to free the heart from confusion about that. And there are many different ways we can analyze experience, think about it, talk about it, explore it. But in this form of practice, the most usable tool, the approach that is most accessible for most people, is the simple division of body and mind into physical form, rupa, meaning the body, and then the realm of the mind, divided into these 4 different sections. Vedana being feeling, sensations, pleasant, painful, neutral. Sanya is perception, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Also the mind sense, sanya, perception. Sankhara, meaning thoughts, emotions, moods, intentions, motivation, memory, concepts, ideas, fantasies, fears. The whole realm of mental activity, mental creation. Sankhara Kanda. And consciousness itself, vijnana, discriminative consciousness, that capacity of mind which knows, which is able to cognize and discriminate this from that. This is a simple way of describing, of grouping the activities of body and mind. The body, feeling, perceptions, mental formations, consciousness. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. And in this simple description that we recite in the morning, here in the morning chanting, the Buddha points out that it's identification with these 5 groups, these 5 chunks of experience. Identification with the body, with feelings, with perceptions, with mental formations, ideas and opinions, moods. Identification with consciousness, which means the delusion that I am thinking, I am remembering, I am experiencing, I am acting. This is what is meant by Vijnana Upadana Khandha, grasping at consciousness, identifying with consciousness. So this is what causes the feelings of alienation, of incompleteness, of dissatisfaction, the habits of identifying, grasping, body and mind. That grasping is the very source of self-view, the engine of Sakkaya Ditthi. That habit of claiming, this body is mine, it's who and what I am. This feeling of pleasure or pain is who and what I am. It's these perceptions, what is tasted, what is heard, smelt, seen. These belong to me. These are mine. These are who and what I am. These ideas, these opinions, these memories. These are me. These are mine. These are my choices, my intentions, my ideas, my plans, my love, my hate, my grief, my excitement. It's identification with sankhara. Identification with consciousness. There's a me here who is knowing, a me here who is experiencing, a me, an individual, separate and independent. That is the one that's experiencing, doing, feeling. Now we can take a statement like, the body is not self, and we can say, try to believe in it, take it as coming from the Buddha or coming from a teacher. We're being told that this is true, but just believing something that we hear from outside doesn't really help us. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. So it's important to understand that the Buddha put these teachings out. The Buddha's approach was not to make emphatic statements to be believed, but more what he did in the original description of these teachings to his 5 companions in the deer park shortly after his enlightenment. Rather than saying, this is true, you should believe me, instead, his approach was, look, this is how it looks to me. How does it look to you? Examine it, explore it, investigate it. And the tools for investigation, the way to explore and look into these qualities, were these characteristics that he identified, that all all things have, whether it's mental or physical. And the first characteristic is that of change, transiency, instability, anicca. So rather than trying to believe that the body is not self, or the body is unsatisfactory, he said, look, do you see that the body is changing? Do you see that physical form changes? Is there anything that doesn't change? And then seeing that, yes, indeed, everything changes, he then followed it by asking, so if something is changing, can it be permanently satisfactory? If something changes, can it please us? Can it satisfy us forever? Well, no. It's either pleasant now and then it changes and the pleasure ends, or it's unpleasant now already. So no experience can be permanently satisfying. And then he asked, so if something is unstable, if it's changing, if it's unsatisfactory, then is it appropriate, is it suitable to say of that, this is me, this is what I am, this is my self, my true self? And the conclusion that his companions were drawn to was no. Because if something was self, it would be satisfactory, it would be reliable and permanent. It would be who and what we are. So these qualities, these characteristics of anicca, of change, dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, anatta, they are means of examining our experience. They're ways to explore and examine our experience. They're not just principles to be believed in, but they're tools to use to explore, to look into the nature of our moment-to-moment awareness of the world, how the world takes shape in our minds. Is something changing? Whether it's inside or outside, is it changing? Is this experience something that's completely satisfying? Something that's sweet and delightful right now? Can it stay that way? Does it remain pleasing? Does it become ordinary? Does the attention drift from it? What happens? The feeling of self around an idea or a perception or a memory. Can we find what that feeling of self is referring to? What is it here that's doing the owning? What is it here that is the experiencer? Is there a self that is the doer, the knower, the experiencer? So these three qualities, anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence or uncertainty, dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, incompleteness, anatta, not self. These are like three lenses of different strengths, different magnifying power to examine, to look closely at the patterns of our experience. Whether it's a sound that we hear outside or a feeling in the body, whether it's a memory, an idea, a mood, whether it's the quality of cognizing, knowing itself. They are lenses to hold up to those experiences, to look. to see. Is this changing? Is this satisfying? Is this really who and what I am? And then through that seeing, through that direct recognition, through knowing within our own heart, oh look, it is empty, it is uncertain. No matter how hard I look for myself, the harder I look, the more what I take to be a me or a self is indefinable. There's awareness, there's a fundamental quality of knowing, but to call that an ego, to call that me and mine, more and more it's seen that that's a faulty interpretation. It's a mistaken identity. With the meditation, already there's a good substantial quality of calmness and focus, a quality of tranquility. When the mind is indeed stable and can rest in the present moment, staying with the breath for extended periods of time, being able to attend to the present without drifting, without distraction. When you find that your own mind has arrived at that kind of stability, then there's no need to pay particular attention to the breathing. We use the breath as an anchor to help fix the attention on the present moment. The breath acts simply as a marker, a reference point for the present. But if the attention is resting easily in the present already, then we don't need to have such an anchor. We don't need to fix the mind because it's already stable. It's already steadily attending to the present moment. Stay that way? Does it remain pleasing? Does it become ordinary? Does the attention drift from it? What happens? The feeling of self around an idea or a perception or a memory. Can we find what that feeling of self is referring to? What is it here that's doing the owning? What is it here that is the experiencer? Is there a self that is the doer, the knower, the experiencer? So these three qualities, anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence or uncertainty, dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, incompleteness, anatta, not self. These are like three lenses of different strengths, different magnifying power to examine, to look closely at the patterns of our experience. Whether it's a sound that we hear outside or a feeling in the body, whether it's a memory, an idea, a mood, whether it's the quality of cognizing, knowing itself. There are lenses to hold up to those experiences, to look, to see. Is this changing? Is this satisfying? Is this really who and what I am? And then through that seeing, through that direct recognition, through knowing within our own heart, oh look, it is empty, it is uncertain. No matter how hard I look for myself, the harder I look, the more what I take to be a me or a self is indefinable. There's awareness, there's a fundamental quality of knowing, but to call that an ego, to call that me and mine, more and more it's seen that that's a faulty interpretation. It's a mistaken identity. With the meditation, already there's a good substantial quality of calmness and focus, a quality of tranquility. When the mind is indeed stable and can rest in the present moment, staying with the breath for extended periods of time, being able to attend to the present without drifting, without distraction. When you find that your own mind has arrived at that kind of stability, then there's no need to pay particular attention to the breathing. We use the breath as an anchor to help fix the attention on the present moment. The breath acts simply as a marker, a reference point for the present. But if the attention is resting easily in the present already, then we don't need to have such an anchor. We don't need to fix the mind because it's already stable. It's already steadily attending to the present moment. So during today, as and when you find that the mind has arrived at that kind of steadiness, there's a fullness of attention in the present moment. Attention not drifting off into abstractions about past and future, not distracted by the sounds that we hear, feelings in the body. Whenever the attention rests easily in the present moment, and just allow the breath to become part of a general field of experience. So we open the awareness to experience, to know the sounds we hear around us, the feelings in the body, thoughts that come and go. So broadening the point of attention to encompass the whole of the present moment, to include all the aspects of experience. And then whatever arises, whether it's a thought or a sound, a sensation, the way to sustain the quality of clarity, of non-entanglement, the attention not getting caught up in the content of the experience, but is to use these reflections on change, on unsatisfactoriness. So we hear the sound of a plane going overhead, and to sustain the objectivity or non-entanglement, and we reflect that sound is changing. A feeling in the body, whether we like it or don't like it, or it's neutral, just to notice the feeling is changing. A thought in the mind, a mood, a memory. We use these reflections on anicca, dukkha, anatta to sustain that quality of non-entanglement, being able to simply attend to the flow of experience, to watch the process of experience itself, rather than get caught into the content of what's being experienced. So we're deliberately letting go of interest in the content to observe the process of experiencing, to watch the flow of the river of our consciousness, the river of perceptions and feelings. Thoughts come and go, feelings come and go, sounds and sensations come and go. As we develop the practice, then the heart can simply rest in that awareness, rest in that knowing, be that very knowing that receives all experience, participates in it, knows it fully, but without confusion, without adding anything to it, not buying into like and dislike, approval or disapproval. It's knowing the sound of a passing plane. It's coming and going. A pattern of nature arising, abiding, fading. And for some of you, the mind is already quite calm and focused. For others of you, the mind will be still agitated and busy. But we have to know for ourselves, we have to decide for ourselves what is going to be useful, appropriate. So if the mind is still agitated, restless, drifting here and there, then we carry on using the breath, using the feeling of the footsteps in a direct, deliberate way to help establish more of a grounding. We need to use that anchor to help keep the attention here in the present, to develop that, to strengthen that. For others of us, that attention is already steady, it's clear. There's a lack of distraction. So we don't need that anchor of the breath. We each have to know for ourselves what's the appropriate tool to use at any one particular time. It may be that for a while we're able to sustain this quality of open awareness, just observing the flow of experience, and then the mind is caught by a particular sound, a particular memory, and the attention is swept up, carried away by a string of thoughts and feelings. You get lost. It might be that all it takes is to then reflect, oh, this is just another impermanent thought. This painful memory is also anicca, dukkha, anatta. It's changing, it's empty, it's unsatisfactory, it's ownerless. It's not who and what I am. And then it dissolves, disappears. And the heart can easily then go back to a simple, open awareness. Or it might be that a feeling, a sensation in the body, or an idea, an opinion, is so strong that we can't just let it go. It doesn't just take a reflection on uncertainty, transiency, to let it dissolve and fade. It's compelling, fascinating. So in that instance, the mind is really drawn in, carried away. Then we need to re-establish that quality of focus. So then, if the mind is really pulled in, absorbed in different thoughts and feelings, go back to the breath. Don't ignore the fact that the attention's been carried away and is caught up in proliferation. Go back to the posture. Re-establish the balance of energy and calm, relaxation. Go back to the breath. Re-establish that focus on the present. The clarity of attention. And when those basics have been reformed, re-established, made strong, a well-integrated posture, the attention grounded in the present, and that's steady and clear once again, then again we can allow the breath to fade into the general mix of experience and see if we can sustain the quality of open awareness once more. The application of these reflections or this style of meditation, as many of you are fully aware, is vipassana, insight meditation. But just to recollect that this is something is impermanent, is unsatisfactory. To be naming an experience, naming a thought as not self. That's the mechanics of vipassana, is, say, applying those reflections. So there is vipassana, the method, the insight method, recollecting that this is impermanent, is unsatisfactory, is not self. But then, in a more complete and a deeper way, there is vipassana, which is the experience, the actual change of heart that comes from seeing in a different way. So, applying the reflection, this is impermanent, it's uncertain, it's empty. That's applying the method of vipassana. But then, when that illusion is seen through, when there is a letting go of identification, that change in the heart where there's a recognition, oh, how could this be mine? How could there be anything that actually owns the sound of that plane, or owns this memory? Oh, look at that. That change of attitude, that shift in the heart, that dropping of identification, that's the real vipassana, or the substantial vipassana, the insight. That change of heart is what is liberating. Applying the method on its own is not liberating. It's more like the writing on the label on the bottle. The change of heart is actually what happens when we take the medicine that's inside the bottle. That change of view, that shift of attitude, that clear seeing, that's the actual quality of insight. That clear seeing, that inner seeing. So to develop vipassana meditation is not just to sit here and to be able to say anicca dukkha anatta to every thought and feeling. As we walk up and down, as we sit here, as we go about our business in the retreat center. It's not just a matter of repeating those reflections, but allowing the heart to be changed, allowing our vision, our attitude to be changed. That change of heart, that is the real insight. And when those moments of true insight do manifest, then there can be a habit or a reaction of, oh, wow, that's great. And the thinking mind, the self-creating habits, Sakkaya Ditthi can then grab that experience. And that's a natural enough reaction. But we make the effort to not buy into that. But rather, when there is that kind of change of heart, when there's a letting go of identification, just simply allow there to be a realization of that, a recognition, a knowing of that, without doing anything with it, without making anything of it, without buying into any thoughts about it. Just let that quality of vision be sustained. That quality of knowing, free of self-creation, free of self-view. Just allow the heart to be that, to rest in that. This is what is meant by realizing the ending of dukkha. The cessation of dukkha is to be realized, which means when the grasping stops and the heart is free of dukkha, free of alienation, when there is peace, the training is to simply realize that, know that. To establish a full awareness of that. Then we can really enjoy the peace that comes from non-grasping. We're not just ignoring that, racing on to the next thing that I'm supposed to be doing. But rather, the peace that comes from non-grasping. Nibbana itself. The realization of non-grasping. The peace of that. We're giving ourselves the opportunity, we're allowing ourselves to know that and taste that fully. This is the opportunity that we have. But we can be so busy with the doingness of applying the method that we miss the peace that it's all for. We miss the point that it's all aiming towards. So don't miss that. But let yourself notice, be aware fully and completely when the grasping stops, when the identification stops? How is it? How does it feel?
Practice on Brahma Vihar, Karuna. हमारे शहर में, हमारे राज्य में, हमारे देश में, सारे विश्व में लाखों लोग अत्यंत कष्ट, भय, आशंका में जी रहे हैं। ये सभी अपने दुख से मुक्त हों। सभी रोग से मुक्त हों, स्वस्थ हों, निरोग हों। देश भर में जो लाखों लोग बेरोजगार हुए हैं, उन सब के दुख दूर करे समाज, सरकार। सभी के सभी प्रकार के दुख दूर। समितियो विभजन्तु सुखो रोगो विनश्यतु माते भवतु अन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भवतु सुखी दीर्घायुको भवतु सुखी दीर्घायुको भवतु। मैत्री ब्रह्म विहार कृतज्ञता का ज्ञापन सभी के प्रति जो सब बीमार लोगों की सेवा शुश्रूषा कर रहे हैं। सारी आवश्यक सुविधाएं उनको हम सबको प्रदान कर रहे हैं। घर बैठे ही हमको वस्तुएं पहुंचा रहे हैं, उन सब के प्रति कृतज्ञता, आभार, मैत्री का भाव। सभी स्वस्थ रहें, किसी बाधा में ना उनके काम में आए, कोई कष्ट ना हो। जो भी पुण्य मैंने आज किए हैं, आज से पहले किए हैं, उन सब में ये सब अनंत प्राणी भागीदार हो, उन सबके फल में वो भागीदार। जो लोग अपने कष्टों से निकट रहे हैं, उन सबको याद करके मन में प्रसन्नता जागे। वे हमेशा कष्ट से मुक्त रहें, रोग से मुक्त रहें, स्वस्थ हों, दीर्घायु हों, ऐसी शुभकामनाएं उनकी प्रसन्नता में भागीदार होते हैं। भिक्षा ब्रह्म विहार, ताकि मन व्यथित ना हो, ये समझते हुए कि जो भी कुछ हो रहा है हमारे अपने कर्मों का ही फल है। हम आज घर में बंद हैं तो भी कर्मों का ही फल है। लोग बीमार हो रहे हैं, एक महामारी फैल रही है, वो भी हमारे कर्मों का ही फल है। यम कम करिष्यन्ति कल्याणं वा पापकं वा तस्य दायादा भविष्यन्ति। भगवान की वाणी हमारी व्यथा को दूर करे, हमको और सजग बनाए अपने कर्मों के प्रति, मन के, वाणी के, शरीर के कर्मों के प्रति, ताकि इस धरती पे आने हुई आपदा में हम कुछ कमी कर सकें। कि आपदा एक दो महीने में जाने वाली नहीं, कई वर्ष लगेंगे इस संसार को उससे उभरने में, इस भय से मुक्त होने में। तो अपने कर्मों के प्रति सजग रहना बहुत आवश्यक। कुछ भी ऐसा न करें जिससे वातावरण प्रदूषित हो। दूसरों के प्रति क्रूरता का व्यवहार न करें, पशुओं के प्रति क्रूरता का व्यवहार न करें। उस क्रूरता का ही कारण असर है कि इस तरह के वायरस फैल रहे हैं। कुछ वर्ष पहले सार्स वायरस फैला था, वो भी पशुओं के प्रति क्रूर व्यवहार से ही फैला था। हम सबको सद्बुद्धि मिले, ऐसी शुभकामना।
अहम अभैरूमि अभयापज्योमि अनिगोमि सुखी अत्तानं परिहरामि। मम माता पितु आचार्या च नातिमित्ता च सह ब्रह्मचारिणो च अविराहोन्तु अव्यापज्याहोन्तु अनिगाहोन्तु सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु। आरक्षा देवता भूमट्ठा देवता रुक्खट्ठा देवता आकाशट्ठा देवता अविराहोन्तु अव्यापज्याहोन्तु अनिगाहोन्तु सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु। सखामुच्यन्तु सब्बे सत्ता सब्बे पाला सब्बे भूता सब्बे पुग्गला सब्बे अत्ता भाव पर्यापन्ना सब्बा इतियो सब्बे पुरुषा सब्बे हरिया सब्बे अनरिया सब्बे देवा सब्बे मनुष्या सब्बे विनिपातिका अविराहोन्तु अव्यापज्याहोन्तु अनिगाहोन्तु सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु। दुःखामुच्यन्तु यथा लड्डा सम्पत्तितो मा गच्छन्तु। कम्मस्का कम्मदायादा कम्मयोनि कम्मबन्धु कम्मपटिसरणं यं कम्मं करिष्यन्ति कल्याणं वा पापकं वा तस्य दायादा भविष्यन्ति। प्रथमाया दिशाया पश्चिमाया दिशाया उत्तराया दिशाया दक्षिणाया दिशाया पृथ्वीमायानुदिशाया पश्चिमायानुदिशाया उत्तरायानुदिशाया दक्षिणायानुदिशाया हेतिमाया दिशाया उपरिमाया दिशाया सब्बे सत्ता सब्बे प्राणा सब्बे भूता सब्बे पुग्गला सब्बे अत्ता भाव पर्यापन्ना सब्बा इतियो सब्बे पुरुषा सब्बे हरिया सब्बे अनरिया सब्बे देवा सब्बे मनुष्या सब्बे विनिपातिका अविराहोन्तु अव्यापज्याहोन्तु अनिगाहोन्तु सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु। दुःखामुच्यन्तु यथा लड्डा सम्पत्तितो मा विगच्छन्तु। कम्मस्का कम्मदायादा कम्मयोनि कम्मबन्धु कम्मपटिसरणं यं कम्मं करिष्यन्ति कल्याणं वा पापकं वा तस्य दायादा भविष्यन्ति। तं यावा भवगाच अधो यावा विचितो समन्ता चक्रवाळेषु ये सत्ता पृथ्वीचरा अव्यापज्या निविराच निर्दुःखा च पद्मा ऊर्ध्वं यावा भवगाच अधो यावा अविचितो समन्ता चक्रवाळेषु ये सत्ता उदकीचरा
अव्यापञ्चानि विराच निर्दुःखाच अनुत्पन्नः
बुद्धं यावा
भवद्वाच अधो यावविच्युतो समन्ताचक्रवालेषु ये सत्ता आकाशे चरा अव्यापञ्चानि विराच निर्दुःखाच अनुत्पन्नः
सत्ता
सुखी होन्तु सर्वे होन्तु सुखिनो सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा किञ्चित् पापमागमः
मा किञ्चित्
दुःखमागमः
मा किञ्चित्
दुःखमागमः
भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो भगवा बुद्धं भगवन्तं अभिवादेमि साक्षातो भगवता धम्मं नमस्सामि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्घो संघं नमामि